Howdy everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are inside the school gymnasium. Normally this is where we do closing ceremonies at the end of the year, where we recognize all the top achieving boys for the year and give them a warm send-off before the summer. This year, of course, because of COVID, the boys cannot join us inside the gym. Like so many others, we've been forced to rethink how we had to do things at the end of the year and go remotely and use things like live streaming. So although the boys can't be in person today here with us, we want to give them a warm send-off still to help them enjoy this summer and make things feel as normal as possible in these uncertain times. So we are still going to do closing ceremonies from the gym, but we're going to do it live stream style, or at least quasi-live stream. I'll explain that in a minute. Right behind me here, we're going to do our normal setup. I'm going to put together my gear, and we're going to do a live stream for the boys using OBS, Open Broadcasting Software. And I'll get a little bit more into that in a minute, explain to you how we're going to do the setup and how we're going to use OBS to really help us out. Alright guys, so here we are up on stage. Finally I have everything set up behind me. I have, for recording audio, I'm using a Samsung Q2 microphone here, which is really great. It's good for podcasting. I have a Logitech C900 Pro HD webcam set up there on my tripod, which is going to be my main video input. But then I also have over there in the back actually a Ultra 8 dock cam to kind of give me two shots to choose from as we're recording. And I have everything going into my Surface Pro right there, which is going to be capturing my recording. But I mentioned it was going to be a quasi live stream. What I meant by that is that at the time when I stream live to YouTube for people to watch, I will not simultaneously be doing the recording. The recording is going to take place beforehand, and I'll actually just be live streaming the recorded video. So think about how sometimes when a news broadcast or TV show releases new episodes that they have been pre-recorded. I'm using the same concept here. The advantage of pre-recording is that I don't have to worry about getting all my camera angles right, the audio inputs, and the streaming signal simultaneously going out to the internet. I'm splitting up the tasks to reduce the pressure that there will be when we go live. So I'm going to be setting up everything through OBS and doing all my overlays in real time, any changes in camera in real time as we're recording, but I'll just be saving it to my hard drive. So let's go ahead and jump into OBS and I'll show you how we're going to do this setup. Okay, so here we are. As I mentioned, we're going to use OBS Studio. Now OBS is a free software actually, which you can download. I've already got it installed, but let me just show you their website real fast if you want to find it. So I'm just going to go and search OBS. All right, so here we have the OBS project right here. And so this is where you would go if you wanted to download OBS Studio. As you can see, it's available for both Windows, Mac, and even Linux distributions. And it's a great software, free to download. So let's go ahead and get started with it. I have it here on my desktop. I'm just going to go ahead and open OBS Studio. Now, if it's the first time that you're opening OBS, it's going to ask you to do an auto configuration. So we're going to go through that really quickly, though I'm not going to use all of the settings here. So let's just click yes. Now, I am going to be using this for recording, but if you wanted to primarily use OBS for streaming, you'd want to optimize for streaming here, but I plan on just recording and then I will stream later, and so I'm going to hit next. It's going to ask me some settings here about how I want to record. I actually want to record in 1280 by 720. That's just easier for me to work with. But if you want to do something different, you can of course change, higher resolution. You can also use the display of the current computer you're working on, but I want to choose something a little more standard. I also want to set just 30 frames a second. You can do either 30 or 60, but I want to stick with just 30 frames per second. Again, you can configure this to your preferences. Let's go ahead and hit next. Just reminding me of what settings I'm going to be using, and I'm going to go ahead and hit apply settings. All right, so here we go. Let's make this full screen. And if this is your first time opening OBS, again, this is what it will look like. We don't have anything set up yet. OBS, down at the bottom here in the bottom left, uses scenes to kind of hold and control all the different inputs that you're going to be working with. And within scenes, you have sources. So this is where we're going to configure our microphone, our camera, and anything else, video overlays, image overlays, all those other things that we might want to have appear on our screen here. In the middle here, you can see you have the audio mixer. Right now, we only have one audio source connected. Right now, it is just the internal mic to this computer, which I'm using to record. You can see it's showing me the activity on that. This is some scene transition stuff, which we'll get to in a minute. And then over here, you have your controls. We can set, if we were doing streaming to something like YouTube or Twitch or any online cloud streaming service, we could start it here. When we want to start a recording, we'll do that here. Studio mode is something that I really like. I'm going to turn that on here. And what that does is it gives you on the left here a preview of what is going to come up on your stream. And on the right, it will show you right now what your program currently is. Obviously, right now we don't have anything going, but this is a really useful feature to help you you can prep what you're going to show on the left, and then you can see what's being recorded live or being streamed live on the right. So let's just take a quick look at our settings here that we have available in OBS. Again, here in the bottom right under controls, I'm just going to click settings. That'll open the settings dialog box. We have a lot of different options here to control everything from our stream, our video outputs, our audio outputs, input. All of that is over here. You can see if we had a stream, OBS supports a lot of different streaming services. You would pick the appropriate one for you. If you're just going to do recording, you can go to the output and set where you want your video to record to. And so it's just recording to my C drive here. You can choose the recording format and the file type that you want to use. I'm going to leave these for default for now, just because those settings are perfectly fine for me. We also have some options for audio. So if you have multiple audio tracks coming in, you can configure a lot of that information here. We're only going to be using one audio track today. Same thing with video. Again, I've already set everything when we opened up OBS to be 720p. If you want to change that, this is where you could change your video settings. And that's going to affect, it's important to make sure that you have this set correctly to your camera, because that's going to affect the size of the canvas over here. And so you want to make sure, to get the image to look really good, that your canvas is matching the resolution of the webcam. So I'm just going to hit OK. Now what we want to do is we want to add, of course, a video and an audio source so that we have something to work with. And so to add sources, it's really easy. Down here in the bottom left-hand area of the screen, we have sources. And so I'm going to hit the little plus button right here. And that's going to give me a lot of options. So there are a lot of things that we can bring in to our presentations, to our videos in OBS. What I want to do is I want to do a video capture device. This is sort of the most basic thing that a lot of you might want to do. So I'm going to open my video capture device. I know that I'm going to be connecting my webcam here, so I want to just name it something descriptive that'll help me identify it among my sources. So I'm going to call it just webcam. I'm going to hit OK. And now it's going to give me a couple options. So this computer has a built-in set of cameras, but I want to use actually my my Logitech webcam, my C920. And I think I said earlier it was a 900. It's the 900 series, but this particular webcam is the 920. And so that's the webcam I want to use. So it's going to go ahead and give me a preview of the shot in the webcam currently. See, that looks pretty good. I'm very happy with how that video is looking. And so if you wanted to, you can configure more video options. You can change your saturation. You can change your white balance. I'm just going to let everything default for now. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And we can see that now I have under my sources, here's my webcam showing up. Right next to it, we have this little eye. If I click the eye, that'll turn the webcam on and off. But you might notice that it's not quite filling my screen completely. And actually, let me go ahead and turn off studio mode for now, since we're just setting things up. And you can see that the shot is not full screen. So if we were to record this right now, there would just be the image, and then we would have, a lot of the area of the canvas which is blank. So if I go to my image coming in from my webcam right now, and you can see that it's a live image, if I right click on the image, I get a lot of options. I can go down to transform. Under transform, there's a lot of options, but I just want to fit to screen. And so that will blow up the image and bring it into my screen full size. Now I have my camera. Again, it's a live image, and it's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. The next thing that we want to do is I also want to now add a audio source. So I have the built-in mic going right now. And actually, you can see when I turned on the webcam also has a mic in it that OBS detected. But I want to use my Samson microphone, the really nice one I have, to record my audio. And so I'm going to go ahead and add another source. And here I can add an audio input capture. If I click that, again, I can name it. I'm just going to call this my Q2 mic. I'm going to hit OK. And now when it asks which device you want to select, I want to go ahead and select, in this case, my Q2 microphone. Of course, you would select whichever microphone you want to use. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. Now you can see under my audio sources right here that my Q2 mic is now receiving input. It's picking up my voice right now as we're talking. If I wanted to turn that off, say I had multiple microphone inputs, I could turn that off here. Oops, that was the webcam. I could turn off that mic, but I only have one mic that I really want to use, and so I'm going to leave that Q2 mic turned on. So what we have right here would work for any basic setup. We have the webcam feeding in image, feeding in video. We have the microphone that would pick up our audio. If I went ahead and clicked start recording, it would start recording this to a video file and save it right on my local hard drive. But I mentioned in my the setup for all this that I have another camera. And so actually I want to make sure I add my second camera to give us an additional angle on this shot. So if I go ahead and click add, I'm going to add another video capture device. And I'm going to call this my Ultra 8. Hit OK. And now, again, I want to go and I want to select that particular device for my input. So I have my Ultra 8 hover cam. And you can see it gives me a preview of what that shot is going to look like. I'm just going to hit OK. And there we have the shot in the corner. And this allows us to do a lot of really cool things. Because as you can see, by default, it just kind of overlaid the two images. And so if you were trying to do something really cool where you wanted to have two shots overlaid with each other, you could do that. I can transform manually this image in the screen. So if I had video coming in from somewhere else, let's say I had a couple people talking, I could overlay those shots. I can also turn them off and on independently. And this is where the studio mode is going to really come in handy. So let's look at that actually really fast. So studio mode is great because it shows me right now what is live on the right. So this is what we see. But let's say I didn't want the Ultra 8 on and the webcam on at the same time. So I can turn off the Ultra 8. And then you can see it's only changed that in my preview. If I was recording or streaming, we would still see both cameras. And so I can just hit a quick transition here. And now it would transition out the Ultra 8 and just leave the webcam. Again, this is a really powerful feature, and you can do a lot of really great things with this. So if you look really carefully at my audio mixer, when I'm not talking, you can see that the Q2 mic is going to get a little bit of noise in the bottom. So if I stop talking for a second, you'll still see some activity on the Q2 mic. And so that's activity that could be coming from, say, background noise, or AC, clacking in the background. And if you want to have a really sharp, really crisp production, you kind of want to filter out that background noise. And OBS Studio has a really nice way to add filters to your audio inputs to kind of clean up the audio and give it that really crisp touch. And so if I right click on my audio source, in this case, my Q2 mic, I can add a filter. So right at the bottom here, there's this filter option. If I click that, I get a dialog box for audio filters. If I hit the plus button, I can add a lot of different types of filters. Some very simple filters to add are the noise suppression filter. I'm just going to leave it as the noise suppression. This will help sort of dampen any background noise to give that audio a really clean, crisp sound. And I can also add the compressor. So compressor just really helps sharpen up vowels, sharpen up the person talking, and that's just a really nice way to help clean up your audio here. And as you can see, if I close this, now that I've stopped talking, the Q2 mic will actually not pick up whatever it was picking up before when I stopped talking. Next, I want to talk about being able to put in overlays while you're recording. So you might want to put in multiple images, something like a slideshow as someone is talking in a recording to add either visual appearances, make it look really nice, or add information that is applicable to the content being discussed. I'm going to use PowerPoint to do this, but I think this concept will work for other programs as well. And so I want to go ahead and add another source. In this case, I'm going to use the window capture option. This will allow me to capture another window that's open on my computer, and it will actually bring it in here into OBS. But before I do that, actually, I want to go over to PowerPoint, and this is my test PowerPoint that I've created to bring in. And now when I bring in that PowerPoint, I want it to be in full screen, in presentation mode. Because if I went to, in OBS, if I went to window capture and just created a new window capture, it would pull up the programs that I can try out. So I want to bring in, my PowerPoint, and you can see it's just bringing in sort of a blank window for the PowerPoint. It's not bringing in the presentation itself. And so I want to go into PowerPoint and I want to change how the slideshow is going to work. If I go under the slideshow settings and I go to set up slideshow, I can change the default show type. So normally it goes to full screen, but if I change it to windowed, now when I click and start the presentation, so if I was going to start my slideshow, it would put it in a small little window. Now I have a window that I can capture, still being able to step through my presentation. But now I can do things like work within OBS and leave that presentation up. So let me remove this window capture that I put in here before. Let me remove this. Yes. And I want to now, having this PowerPoint slide ready to go, this presentation ready to go, I want to add a window capture. I'm just going to call it PowerPoint. I'm going to abbreviate it. Hit OK. Now I'm going to select PowerPoint. Whoops. And you can see that now it's bringing in my presentation. So if I go ahead and hit OK, it doesn't have the size correct, but again, if I right click on it and I go to transform, I fit to screen, that'll bring my PowerPoint. Now you can see it, it's filling up the whole screen. If I was to open the PowerPoint now, I can, let's slide this to the side for a second. You can see that now I'm able to step through my slides, and that's being captured by OBS. So I could be recording and going through my slides. But I said I wanted to have this just in the image so that I might also be able to see the speaker. Well, if I just resize my PowerPoint overlay by grabbing the corner here, now, again, I can put two images, whoops, on top of each other. Let me move that back. Grab just the PowerPoint. Whoops. Try that again. Grabbing just the PowerPoint, maybe I wanted to put it down in the bottom corner here. Now I can have the presenter talking and I can have the PowerPoint sitting there, or whatever media image I'm capturing, in the corner, and I can go through those different slides while the speaker is talking live in front of the camera. And if I want to turn it off for some reason, I just turn that off, and there we go. And so, of course, I'm in studio mode, and so I would want to do a transition so that it is recording the PowerPoint, but I think you get the idea. That's a really simple really easy way to be able to put up content and images that'll really enhance your presentation and your video. So the last thing that I want to look at here in OBS Studio are the scenes. So in this first box on the left, we have scenes. And scenes are a really great way to organize multiple sources and keep things organized. So if you're switching between a bunch of different layouts, a scene can really help you keep things organized if you're trying to change up multiple shots. And in this case, I want to keep all my audio and video inputs into one scene. But when I start the live stream, I kind of want to have a banner beforehand so that I don't just jump straight into the picture. I want to have like a nice waiting sign. So actually, I want to put that into its own scene. That way I can just click between the two and make that transition really simple. And I won't have to go through and click the little eye to turn on and off all these different things, because that can get messy, especially if you're doing something in real time. So let's go down to the scenes, and I want to just add a new scene. And I'm going to call this scene opening, because I know what I'm going to use it for. And I'm going to hit OK. And you can see when I create a new scene, now I don't have any sources. Now, that doesn't mean it deleted all of my other sources, all that work I just did. If I click back to my original scene, you can see here's my mic, here's my webcam. But I have now this other scene that I can work with. And so I want to put in just an opening image that I'm going to display at the beginning of my video. So let's go ahead and add a scene. And this time I want to add just an image. You can do a lot of different things here. You could add an image slideshow if you want to have multiple pictures coming in, but I want to do just a standard image, keep it simple. And so I'm going to call this just my opening image. And then I want to go ahead and select the image I want. So I have something on my desktop. I have just this simple slide that I made here that just tells folks when I start broadcasting my stream, before I start putting out the video and all of my content, they know that something will be coming, and I can display this just as a simple scene. And then when I will go ahead and jump into my video, I can just jump into my scene here, and it'll already have my microphone ready, my camera ready, and all those good things. And this is, again, where the transition and the studio mode can really come in handy. So if I was getting ready to start this live stream, I would have up my my opening scene here, and it would just be broadcasting and recording live. And then that would allow me to configure my images here on the left of what's going to come up next. And so, I might want to have my two images overlaid with each other. I'm trying to do some really cool effect. And then I could have the scene ready. That way, when the time's appropriate, I just transition and I'm good to go and I'm back in my scene. So I think that about does it here for our setup in OBS. We've gone over how to use scenes, how to set up video and audio sources, and we're ready to go ahead and start recording. Alright guys, well, after a long process, we finally got everything recorded. Though it turns out it is surprisingly difficult to talk into a camera without making mistakes, and it really shows when you're recording how many times you actually mess up when you're speaking. So, I will have to do a little post-editing as well, but that will really just be splicing clips together, since I was able to do all the image overlays that I wanted to do using OBS while recording. So I think in the end, I'm going to save a lot of time. I'm going to wrap up this video now, and I'm going to go through live streaming to YouTube in OBS in a future video. So thanks for tuning in. If you liked what you saw here, go ahead, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, hit the notifications button. If you want to see when I post new content, leave me a comment below and let me know what you think of this video, and I'll see you next time. And remember to go out, enkindle, and enlighten.